Back, hope you're enjoying the show. Joining me now is a trainer who has had a very good couple of days. Go Bears Go was just edged out of proceedings in yesterday's Middle Park, but may still be bound for the United States. And a day previously, Hello You had given him Group 2 success in the Rockfell Stakes. He'd first given notice of his considerable talent, particularly with two-year-olds in last year's Princess Margaret Stakes when he saddled two of the first three home. He trains in Shropshire. And he has been successful all around the country. Soon, perhaps, he'll be successful all around the globe. He is Dave Loughnane. Dave, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Nick, pleasure to be here.
And fair to say things are rising pretty rapidly for you.
Yeah, a lot quicker than we probably ever anticipated. I've said it many times, myself and Sarah always felt we were capable of competing at the top level, but you need the horses to do that, and thankfully we're getting that opportunity now.
You mentioned, Sarah, you are very much a team, aren't you?
Massively, yeah. Yeah, look, it's my name on the licence, but it's the both of us. I joke I play with horses, she runs a business. She does the hard side of it, but she works in the yard day in, day out, and she's a sounding board for me. She's assistant, that's the reality of it. She has a massive say in the whole operation, and it works.
Let's talk about the success you've had over the last couple of days, because I know you'd like to have won both races. We'll come to the Middle Park in a moment. But Hello You in the Rockfell, how important was it to you that you did well with this filly, given the fact that you'd taken her over from another trainer?
Look, it's important to do well for us with every horse. Ammo have been a great owner to come to us and given us a huge opportunity with some very high-class horses. I was delighted for the team and the owners, but I was probably happier for her. You know, she is a high-class filly, and we've been adamant she was a group performer in a group, capable of winning a group race, so it was wonderful for her to just be able to achieve that. I was over the moon for her as a horse. You know, she deserved that win, and to do it so decisively was very pleasing for us, and got a great kick out of it.
I mean, she's been a filly who's been quite an enthusiast through her races, sometimes to her own detriment.
Yeah.
Have you had to put quite a lot of work into her to get her racing kindly for you?
Yes and no. She's an absolute saint at home. You know, she's anyone's ride. She doesn't turn a hair. When she came to us first, Ross had said to me, you know, she needs a ring bait and you need to get her to chill out. And I'm thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. She's a pony. So we took her to Wolverhampton for a racecourse gallop, and the second she came off the box, she just set a light. Her first run first was in the Lowther. She was quite hard work before the race. She really got lit up. Again, Goodwood the last day, she got quite worked up in the prelims. We've tried to do different things with her to get her to relax, and obviously the hood and the ring bit have helped. But yesterday 2 days ago, I felt everything just clicked. You know, everything just happened as it should happen. She took the whole prelims really well and hacked down the post, and she never lifted a hair out of the gate. So, no, it was great. It allowed her to show what she was capable of doing and what she showed first time out in Wolverhampton.
That's right, and you're running her at 7 furlongs as well, and she'd been running shy of that earlier in the season, and she actually relaxed quite well and finished off really strongly. So the American dream is alive with her, for sure. Very
much so. Obviously, America is a place that's very important to Key and very close to his heart. He spends a lot of time there. So, he made it clear very early on when she came to us, if she was good enough, the Breeders' Cup was the plan. And I'd see no reason now why we wouldn't go. I believe she's a Guineas horse. Can we go Breeders' Cup, give her a break and come back for a Guineas trial? Yeah, loads of time. So, I'd like to freshen her up now and very much so put the Phillies Turf race and the Breeders' Cup on the top of our agenda.
If I'd said to you 18 months ago, you'd be sitting here now talking to me about a horse who'd probably be in the front three in the market for that race, for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Phillies Turf, what would you have said?
I don't know. Genuinely don't know. Always felt we were capable of being in a position like this, but probably never believed we'd be here. Happy to be there, happy to be in the position we're in. But no, would I have believed you if you said it 12 months ago, 18 months ago? No.
And what's been the key, do you think?
Opportunity. Making the most of what we had. We moved into Hellshog Range 5 years ago this week with 7 horses, and our best horse was rated 53. We won with every one of them, and it's just progressed, and it's just snowballed massively since then.
You might be joined, you might be joined on the plane by Go Bears Go, who ran a very gallant race yesterday in the middle part. How did you leave Newmarket last night? Pleased, frustrated, both?
I left there thinking we had 2 Guineas horses on our hands. Hindsight's a great thing. Looking at it now, I think we probably should have gone the Dewhurst. Didn't think it beforehand. He was always a very strong traveller in his previous runs. He didn't travel as well yesterday, and he arguably didn't travel as well in the Phoenix. Looking back now, I would say he just was so professional for his first 3 runs. He was just one step ahead of everything else, and that's why he travelled so strongly. He's progressed into a horse now that looks like he's going to be a far better 3-year-old.
So do you think he deceived you early? So you almost think he deceived you into thinking he was a rapid, whiz-bang 2-year-old who would just go fast, and now you're thinking, well, hang on, he's a completely different type of animal?
Yeah, very much so. I suppose after his first 2-3 runs, you kind of get to that stage as a trainer where you're questioning, is he just a 2-year-old, or will he train on? I didn't know the answer for the first kind of part of his career. And after the Phoenix, I very much so, we gave him a freshen up, and I came away from that thinking he's going to be a better 3-year-old. I trained his half-brother the year we started training, Earth Drummer, and he was a horse that needed quick ground, and the whole family got better with age. So we always felt he would get better with age if he trained on, and I believe now he will be a better 3-year-old.
So you've got 2 Guineas horses, hopefully. You've got 2 Breeders' Cup horses. You've got a big, powerful owner in Kia Jarabchin. What's he like to train for?
Fantastic. Amo Racing are probably changing ownership and racing to a degree. It's very much, if we win, we all win. If we lose, we all lose. It's a team. He comes from that, obviously, the football background, and they're very much bringing that into racing. They've put us in a very nice position, and they're great to work with. We're very lucky. We have a fantastic bunch of owners, and make my job very easy.
And that sort of aspect of squad rotation, I mean, there's horses that Amo own, that Kia own, that have shifted maybe 3 or 4 trainers during the course of their careers. Do you think it's just a different way of looking at the business, rather than saying, oh, I don't like you and I do like you? It's just a different way of doing things.
Yeah, of course it is. What works for me with a particular horse doesn't mean it'll work for someone else, and what doesn't work for me may work for someone else. So we've always kind of worked off the fact that we train each horse as an individual. I suppose as an owner, he's doing the same thing.
How long do you think you can maintain that ethos if you grow and grow and grow? So how many horses have you got at the moment?
70 horses on the books.
So if you had 150 horses on the books, could you still train in the same way, do you think?
No, I won't have 150 horses on the books. We're not going to get any bigger. We've said from day one, our whole ethos, our whole kind of model and business model that we set up a long time ago was 70 horses of the highest quality. We've always said the best owners, the best staff, the best horses. Now that doesn't mean the most expensive horses are the owners with the most money. It means the people that are in the sport for the right reason, that really enjoy the sport and want to progress and continue progressing. And we've a wonderful team at home that allow us to be able to train the way we do. I still ride every day. That's a huge part of how we do things. I like to try and sit on everything in the yard once a month if I can. We've brilliant staff, we've brilliant riders, but at the end of the day, when we send a horse to the races, if I've sat on that horse before it's ran and it doesn't go to plan, I can hold my hands up and say, look, my fault. I don't want to be in a position where I have to blame someone else for something for no reason. I'll put my head on the line, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, I'll hold my hands up and say that's on me. I'm very much about, I'll walk the walk and I'll talk the talk, and I'll put my own opinion on the line.
So you got 70, you're full. if somebody wants to send you a horse tomorrow, you have to make room. And
there's always room for a good horse. We've got a couple of very good people, Stuart Ross, and we've started using Alan Crichton, kind of breaking in and pre-training, and we've always got room for expansion in a sense that me and Sarah spent a lot of time in Australia, and a huge thing in Australia is horses are pre-trained elsewhere. So we've always got that option. If we've 70 on the books, we don't have 70 riding out because we've horses on breaks and ready to go for breaks, and so we probably have 50 riding out, say. So we always have room for more, and then if it's a case where we get offered more horses, we can put horses into pre-training, they're getting ready to run, they're doing the light work, getting their base fitness in, and then once they're ready to come into us, they come into us, and it can kind of, we can rotate it in that sense.
But you've got your business model, and 70 horses makes a profit, and it works.
Yeah. We're 6 years training. We don't come from racing backgrounds. We don't come from massive amounts of money or anything. We don't have a debt, a credit card, a loan. Our business is paying. A lot of people say racing can't pay, and we're making it pay. That's probably down to Sarah and the way she runs the business, but we are making it pay, and we're seeing profit year in, year out. But that's not what it's about for us. It's not about the money, and after Go Bears Go won the railway and went for the Phoenix, people were like, oh God, the £125,000 bonus must be huge for you.
Yeah.
It's not about that. Like, we love what we do, and we do what we love, and it's easy to go to work every morning when you enjoy so much what you do. We get paid to do our hobby. That's the reality of it. We're in my opinion, the greatest sport in the world, and we get paid to do it.
But if the house is built on those solid foundations, then you don't need to be chasing.
No.
And you don't need to be worrying. So does that
Exactly.
remove quite a bit of the stress from you, what Sarah's put in place?
Yeah, it does. She might say the same. She probably deals with the stress more than I do. Stress and pressure go straight over my head.
But you can just get on with the job.
Yeah. I don't get stressed. I don't get pressure. I don't. But I probably don't, because we've set up a good business model, and we've kind of done things, I say properly to us. We've done things very carefully from the start. We were very particular of what horses we trained from day one. We set a business model that we wanted. The year we started, we didn't want anything rated below 60. The following year, we didn't want anything rated below 70. And we've just improved that every year, and it's allowed us to run our business in the right way, progress in the right way. And we've a brilliant team of staff behind us to allow us to do that as well.
So where did the training dream start for you?
14, 15 years of age, back in Galway. I was completely and utterly obsessed with horses as a kid. Don't know why, don't know where it came from. And
Racehorses particularly?
Yeah, just the whole concept of riding horses. I was besotted by it. I just couldn't, it was fascinating to me. And then I'd be local to the Galway racecourse, went in there as a kid, as you do, and it was a noise. The first time I heard them gallop past, I was just completely obsessed with it. Didn't know where I went from there, didn't know how to get into the sport. And my brother was in good mate with Tom Ryan, who's a jump jockey in Australia now, Ross's uncle. And they just had a chat one day, and my brother was like, oh, David likes horses. Tom was like, be at the house Saturday morning at 6 o'clock, and it went from there. Sat in my first horse, first thoroughbred, down there at 14 years of age, and yeah, that was it. I knew I was hooked from there.
And what would have been the moment where things really started to click into place for you? What was your big career break?
Going to Australia was huge for me. I always had a kind of a want to go there. I got out of racing for a few years after a bad fall. I hurt my back, and I thought I wanted to be a jockey for a while. It became apparent very quickly that wasn't going to be a career for me.
Why not? Because you were obviously a rider of some talent, given that you ride all your horses and you can take a view on them.
I class myself as a horseman and a good rider at home. A good rider at home isn't always a good jockey. It's a different mindset. I probably wasn't sharp enough in a race. The concept of it happened too quickly for me. But I just loved it. I loved everything about the sport, and got out of it for a few years. My brother decided he was going to Australia, and 2 weeks previous, I was working in a bank at the time, which sounds mad now. But
so how long were you out of it? How long were you out completely of the sport?
Probably 4 years. I had a bad fall when I was 17, 18. I spent a few months in a cast from the waist up. Went at carpentry for a while, did 3 years in carpentry and a year in a bank. My brother said he was going to Australia, and 2 weeks before he went, I handed in my notice and booked a flight, and away I went. Landed in Sydney, did a bit of time there, went to Brisbane, moved back down to Sydney, and I started riding work in Randwick. I always knew I was going to get back into the sport in some way, and I always loved the training side of things. I loved the puzzle of working out a horse. I always enjoyed the work at home probably more than at the races. So it was always something I wanted to do, but I probably, not coming from that background, didn't know how to get there. And probably didn't know if it was realistic enough. But I've always been a very determined person. I've always been someone who believes I'm right and everyone else is wrong from every aspect of life. So yeah, when I landed in Sydney, started riding work, and it just progressed from there.
So you say you always think that you're right and everybody else is wrong. How does that go for you normally?
We're doing all right. I'm a massive, I'm not a cocky person, but I'm a hugely confident person. I'll back my own judgment every day of the week. And if I get it wrong, I'll hold my hands up and say, look, I'm wrong. I suppose, in an aspect of our sport, the thing we do most in this sport is lose. That's the thing we do most. And I'm a good loser. I don't like losing, but you're going to get beat. You're going to get beat a lot. I'll happily get beat. If I'm beaten by a better horse or I'm beaten fair and square, fine. Take the positives out of the race, learn something from it, and make sure you don't get beat the next day. And that's probably the way I look at life as well.
How about that level of single-mindedness and inner confidence when you're running a team at home, day to day, the daily grind, when you just have to have a little bit of flex, a little bit of give and take? Can you do that?
I think so. I'm very laid back as well, you see. I don't get worked up about things. I don't get stressed. I don't sleep much. 4 or 5 hours a night is loads for me. But it's not that I'm awake kind of stressing out things. I don't switch off from it. I love what I do. I genuinely breathe, live, everything about our lives is this sport. And I love it so much that I don't get stressed about it. I think it's mad that I get paid to do it. And I try and instill that into our yard. We're very lucky, as I said, we've a brilliant team of staff. Our head lass, Sarah Taylor, is second to none. If we had no staff tomorrow morning, she'd be in mucking out 70 boxes and riding 70 horses. We've a wealth of experience with riders we've riders from 16 years of age in the racing school to 79 years of age. We've a very good team which allow us to do our job the way we do. You can be the best trainer in the world. If you don't have the horses and you don't have the staff, you can't do it.
And who's your 79-year-old?
Colin Moore rides out 3 lots every day for us, 79 years of age, rode in the Newmarket Town Plate this year, yeah. Colin's an owner with us and comes in and rides out every day. Steve Brookshaw is 69, 70. I hope I got that right or he'll give it out to me, but Steve trained the winner of the Grand National in 1997. To have someone with that much experience as well riding out every day, and they're great judges as well as some of our other staff. Our head lass Sarah rides out every day. Joe O'Neill rode a lot of winners as an apprentice, rides out every day, and we've a brilliant team at home, and you need good staff to run a business in any aspect.
And so, take me back to Australia when you met Sarah.
So I was there. I was young. I was having a very good time. I was enjoying myself. I spent a while in Sydney. I went to kind of inland Queensland, Toowoomba for a while. I worked in a stud there. And while I worked in a stud, I'd ride track work in the morning from 3:30 till 7 o'clock. Then I'd work in a stud doing the stallions and the yearlings. And then I used to rent a yard off them where I'd break in and pre-train for a few trainers there. And That was a great experience. I thought the stud side of it was a huge, I learned a lot there in regards to the handling of horses and just producing horses. And then from there, I went down to work for Paul Massara in Scone. I arrived at Paul's in a very good time, massive era, Alberta was third to Star Spangled Banner in the July Cup. We had some wonderful times in Australia. Hortensia came to us, she won the ICAS Sprint, she won the Nunthorpe. Learned a lot there. Paul's a very modernised trainer. He was always looking for kind of that edge and that new era style of training. So I learned a lot there. And Sarah came working there. She'd been working for Gay Waterhouse previously. She'd never actually worked in racing. She was hugely into eventing back home. And she ended up in Gay Waterhouses and needed to do a few months in a regional area to stay in Australia for another year. So she came working there and we met there, and I got my residency while working for Paul in Australia, and I suppose in the back of my mind I thought I'd stay there and train over there. I don't know if it would have worked or not. It's a huge country, but there's a lot of opportunities there. We left Paul's, travelled a bit, ended up in Flemington. We both worked for Peter Snowden when he was training for Godolphin, not for very long, and we came home from work one day on a Tuesday and just thought, this isn't for us. And we landed in Manchester Thursday morning. Sold everything we had, just packed up and left, and didn't really know where it was leading to, but thought we'd give it a go, and if it doesn't work we can always go back. Haven't regretted it for a second.
How long did it take you to go from landing in Manchester to saddling your first horse?
3.5, 4 years. Landed. First job, I suppose, was did a bit of part-time work with Geraldine Rees, who used to train, and then I kind of worked part-time for Trevor Hemmings' pre-training yard in Preston, where Sarah's from. From there, I did a year with Mark Loughnane.
No relation.
No relation, even though because I worked from everyone thinks we're brothers and cousins and everything, but no relation. And from Mark,
so you'd be his younger brother if you were.
I would like to hope so, yeah. Went from there to pupil assistant to John Quinn. Had a great time there. John's a fantastic trainer. And again has built it up on his own and sustained that for a very long time. Was there through a great time. The Wow Signal won the Coventry in the Pre-Mornay, and that was a big eye-opener because he produced everything from 2-year-olds to jump horses, and that was a big learning curve for me. And from there I went to Tom Lascombe's for a year. And I did a year with Tom, and I started training on the 1st of January after that. And we moved into David O'Mara's old yard, where Roger Fell trains now. And it's just snowballed from there, really.
How did the first runner feel? Everyone else says, how did your first winner feel? Well, that's going to feel great. When you were actually tightening the girth on the first one to run under your name, can you remember how it felt? Yeah, just a massive sense of, I suppose, pride. I was very surreal, I suppose, at the same time. It was in Southall on a cold winter's day, and a filly called Hazel Blue. She was also our first winner. She didn't win that day, but just I suppose a sense of surrealness in a sense that it was very kind of felt like we achieved something, but until you crossed the line in front, you haven't achieved it. But felt like it was the beginning of something. It's quite interesting to me listening to you talking about your love of the sport from 14, 15, and then you had your years out of the game, 4 years as well, and then this sort of slightly nomadic existence in Australia. It sort of feels from the way you're talking as though you feel like not only physically but sort of emotionally you found your home, you found your roots.
Yeah, very much so. I'm a very emotional person, and I would say I owe an awful lot to the sport. I have a career, I have a life, I have a wife, I have some unbelievable friends. I owe a lot to it.
Dave Loughnane, thanks so much.
Pleasure.
David Loughnane, who had his great winner at the weekend with Hello You, and he is now, with Hello You and Go Bears Go, off to the Breeders' Cup. We'll be right back after this.